A tear in the sky caught on camera, energy vanishing into something no one can see, and experiments that sound a little too close to breaking reality instead of studying it. These are times CERN accidentally revealed a hidden layer of reality.
What in the world? There's like a rip up there. Hold on, I'm zooming in. That is not a cloud. It's just black. It's like the sky got torn open. I've never seen anything like this before.
This video's been blown up online recently. This thing appeared in the sky over Florida, and most people immediately agreed that it looked like a seam, as if the sky had torn open. And that opened up conversations about reality breaking. Are we living in a simulation? Is this a glitch in the sky? Did some hole open up into another reality? And if so, what caused it? Well, whenever conversations like this come up, CERN is almost always mentioned. The Large Hadron Collider, or the LHC, built by the European Organization for Nuclear Research, is a massive circular tunnel buried deep underground on the border of France and Switzerland. Designed for one specific purpose: take tiny particles and smash them together at speeds that are almost at the limit of light itself. The goal is to see what happens in those split seconds of impact, hoping to catch a glimpse of the building blocks of our reality. But when you build a machine that powerful, people start to get nervous. There have been endless theories about what might go wrong. Some are convinced that the LHC could accidentally create a microscopic black hole that would eventually grow and swallow the Earth. Others think we might accidentally rip a hole in the fabric of space-time. There's a very popular idea that CERN isn't just looking for particles, but is actually trying to open a gateway to another dimension. The thought is that by focusing that much energy into a single point, you could create a rift, allowing access to parallel universes. And it goes even further than that. Some people believe that the real hidden purpose of the collider is to make contact with entities, aliens, or even ancient gods from these other realms. And speaking of non-human beings, we have to talk about Dr. Astrid Stuckelberger. She is a human being, but she talked about non-human entities. She's a researcher from the University of Geneva, and she's made some interesting claims.
But it is more than that, because there are lots of physicians, I know some, they're doing very strange experimentation. There are beings from portals coming in and out. It's physicists from the CERN who told me this.
She says she once had dinner with some researchers from CERN, and during their conversation, she got a peek behind the curtain that the public never sees. According to her account, these scientists described something strange happening deep in the tunnels. She claims that they spoke about a literal portal, like a doorway that allowed non-human entities to pass back and forth. She also mentioned that these visitors have left objects behind. Beyond the portals, she hinted at a connection between the work at CERN and top-secret military research, meaning that the experiments may not just be about physics, but are actually attempts to manipulate time itself. Now, look, just because someone has a doctor in front of their name, not mean that everything they say is 100% fact. These are pretty out there claims, but it's definitely a strange thing for a respected academic to put her reputation on the line. If there is even a tiny bit of truth to what she's saying, it means that the Large Hadron Collider is doing way more than just smashing atoms. While the theories about portals are hard to prove, some people look at the world around the facility for odd things going on in nature, and supposedly there have been numerous reports from people living in the area around CERN about bizarre animal behavior. There have been stories about birds just falling out of the sky in huge numbers right near the facility. Of course, there's never been an official connection between these deaths and the experiments happening underground, but when you have a machine that's whipping protons around a ring at 99.9% the speed of light, people find it hard to believe that it has zero effect on the environment. Theories that even a tiny bit of electromagnetic interference could be enough to mess with a bird's internal navigation and affect other wildlife in ways that we just don't fully understand yet. Now let's talk about something that is actually a documented official experiment, NA64. The name is pretty boring, stands for North Area Experiment 64, but what they're doing is actually pretty insane. They're hunting for dark matter. We know dark matter exists because we can see its gravity pulling on galaxies, but we can't see or touch dark matter itself. It's like a shadow universe that exists right on top of ours. In the NA64 experiment, scientists fire a beam of electrons at a solid target. When these electrons hit, they usually create a shower of other particles that we can see and measure. But every once in a while, something weird happens. Energy just disappears. Physicists believe that when that energy goes missing, it's because it's been converted into a dark matter particle that just flew right through the walls of the detector and into the unknown. Every time they run this experiment, they're kind of poking a needle into a part of reality that is invisible to us. That's pretty cool. But it gets even stranger. CERN isn't just looking for dark matter, they're looking for an entire hidden valley. This is a hypothesis being tested by the Compact Muon Solenoid or CMS detector. They're looking for something called soft, unclustered energy patterns. But what does that mean? Well, think of it like this. Normally when particles collide, they create a very specific splash that scientists know how to read, but lately they've been looking for tiny, faint bursts of energy that don't look anything like what we've seen before. The theory is that these bursts are coming from a hidden realm, a shadow version of our universe. The idea is that there might be a quote-unquote mediator particle that can bridge the gap between our world and this hidden one. These particles could decay into things like dark photons, which would then turn into regular particles like electrons that our machines can finally see. Basically, they're looking for leaks from another dimension. It's not just a conspiracy theory anymore, when the scientists themselves are building detectors specifically to find traces of a parallel reality. For a long time, we thought time crystals were just a theoretical concept, but scientists have actually managed to create them. But what on earth is a time crystal? Usually if you leave an object alone and it loses energy, it stops moving. But time crystals are a special kind of matter where the atoms never stop. They keep flipping, moving back and forth on their own forever without any outside energy. Scientists at CERN are playing around with these to see how they react when they're hit with high energy particles from the collider. Just the existence of something that can move endlessly on its own breaks a lot of the so-called rules that we thought were set in stone. There's a lot about the way time and matter work that we're still totally in the dark about. People often focus on the particle beams, but they forget about the magnets. To keep these protons moving in a circle at such high speeds, you need incredible force. Magnets at CERN are some of the most powerful in existence, roughly 100,000 times stronger than the magnetic field of the Earth. Some people are worried that fields this intense could have side effects that reach way outside the tunnels. There have been stories of compasses acting up, birds losing their sense of direction, as we mentioned earlier, and weird shifts in migration patterns that seem to line up with when CERN cranks up the power. CERN has said they have to be extremely careful to contain the magnetic field because if it leaked out, it would fry electronics and mess with equipment for miles, but some wonder if that kind of power is doing more than just bending beams of light, that it might actually be warping the space around it. CERN recently managed to build the world's first antimatter qubit. If you don't know, antimatter is the mirror opposite of the stuff that we're made of. If matter and antimatter touch, they instantly annihilate each other in this massive explosion of energy. That's why it's so hard to study. I mean, how do you hold on to something that explodes the moment it touches anything? Well, researchers at CERN figured out how to trap a single antiproton and keep it stable enough to use as a qubit, which is the basic unit of a quantum computer. But they aren't trying to build a better laptop, they're trying to solve the mystery of why we even exist. I'd call that a slightly loftier goal. According to the Big Bang Theory, there should have been equal amounts of matter and antimatter, meaning everything should have canceled out and the universe should be empty. None of this should be happening. Obviously, that didn't happen. They're using this antimatter qubit to test the rules of the universe. If the antimatter doesn't behave like a perfect reflection of regular matter, it means our understanding of physics is fundamentally wrong. It would mean the universe doesn't always follow the laws we've spent centuries writing down. Back in 2016, this video popped up online that didn't do anything to ease people's concerns over the conspiratorial ideas surrounding CERN. It shows people in black cloaks gathering at night at CERN in Geneva around the famous Shiva statue, acting out what looks like a human sacrifice. One person unalives a woman seemingly with what looks like a blade, while the person filming the scene from the window shakes, audibly terrified. It looks pretty convincing, but CERN quickly clarified that the whole thing was staged. The people in the video had access badges, meaning they could be insiders or visiting scientists. Apparently, it it was just a prank. And on one hand, that makes sense. Scientists aren't exactly known for having a normal sense of humor. And what better way to troll the internet than by staging a fake ritual in front of the God of Destruction statue? But even after it was labeled a hoax, a few things left a bad taste in people's mouths. For starters, to even get into the courtyard at night, again, you need high-level security clearance, so every person in that video had to scan an ID badge to be there. If it was just a prank, it was an incredibly risky one that involved people with access to the world's most expensive scientific equipment. There's also the question of who was filming. The witness was part of the joke. Why has no one ever come forward to claim credit for the video? And that has been our video for today. I'll catch you, yes, you specifically, in the next one.